Star KIC 8462852. So apparently in October,
Hmm.
there was a story that came out in the news and on the internet that there might be a gigantic artificial structure drifting in front of the star, blocking some of its light. Well, the theory is that if an alien civilization became so advanced and needed so much power to, I guess, fuel and power their own civilization, that they would be able to build an alien structure either around or partially cover a star in order to harness its power.
That's pretty far-fetched. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
that's
That's kind of
interesting, huh?
that's some Star Trek, Star Wars stuff.
So, of course, in a matter of a few days or a week later, someone put out a report saying, hey, that's not true. All it is an asteroid belt that's showing that it's blocking the light from the star, and so therefore it's nothing. It happens all the time.
Obviously, you know.
However, this has been happening since 2011 when the Kepler Space Telescope first saw this happening. And so according to, you know, our science folks, they're saying usually a light emanating from a star will drop about around 1% to like 5%.
Hmm.
But this particular star, it dropped for as far down as 15%,
Oh,
and at one time even 20%.
oh,
So the idea is that something pretty humongous, pretty big, it's blocking the star from time to time,
or draining it. You know,
or
means all.
draining it.
If you haven't saw, yeah, if you what? Have you not seen Star Wars? It drains the power. That's like the next level Death Star stuff. I'm telling you, it's
Yeah.
draining the power of that star. Like, yeah, that's some crazy stuff.
So, of course, people decided, well, asteroids, that's good. So, unfortunately, for those naysayers that there could be something else, some people still are looking at the star, and they've noticed that it still continues to dim in a fashion that's not normal. We're still going to
You know,
continue looking at it.
the naysayers, are they part of the government? That's another government conspiracy. I'm telling you right now. It's like every time something comes up, and it's like there's possible aliens, right, on the dark side of the moon, on Mars, on the star. No, not really. Don't worry about that. Look, 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 look. We have global warming. Worry about that.
Well, and that's the thing, they're always quick to say it's not an extraterrestrial, it's not another civilization. But to be honest, I mean, we're talking about a star that's how many hundreds of light years away? How can we say it's not?
but but then again, how can we say it is? It's one of those situations where everything you say, you have to be held accountable, especially in the science community. If you say something stupid, you're forever going to be known as that person who says something stupid. And I kind of understand, but instead of saying no, just look and then probable and keep it stepping.
Well, and you know what? That's exactly what's going to happen when we discuss your topic in the ozone. Because for decades, the science community has been saying there's no way there could be anything else out there. And all of a
Oh,
sudden, they've changed their story,
as always.
as always. So, taking that into consideration, yeah, I think it's possible that there could be something out there that's not just naturally occurring.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I guess we're ready to go into the next segment.
Well, the ozone is actually going to talk about recent events that it was not done by somebody, just somebody who's looking up at the stars and found something, or actually pretty big names. And I got this information from CNN. Oh my word. So CNN had a conversation with a gentleman named Mike Brown, I believe. His last name is Mr. Brown. So we're going to call him Mr. Brown from now on. And if you don't know who Mr. Brown is, Mr. Brown is part of the reason why our ninth planet, when you was in high school back in however long ago, 90s, 80s, 70s, you could think Pluto was a planet. I did, you did, we all did. But Mr. Brown says, Looks too small to be a planet. Nope, it's not a planet. Let's drop it down, drop its status. So it became a dwarf planet.
You know what's funny about that is that ever since New Horizons went by, did that flyby of
Hmm.
Pluto, they actually got some new calculations, and Pluto is much bigger than what they thought it was. And so
Well,
now there's discussions about bringing it back to planet status.
just drop it off. Let it go. I mean, poor Pluto. He gets his hopes up, then let it go. Then gets his hopes up, let it go. But interesting news, though, right? So Pluto was discovered in the 1930s. Now, Neptune was discovered after. Now, Neptune's a lot closer to us than Pluto. And through their calculations, because of gravitational pull and blah, 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 right? They figured there was something up. Something's not right. I swear, some of the scientists, I swear this is how they talk. You know what? That ain't right. So stop that. They started doing connections and they found Neptune. Well, here, there's another case of that. They're like, you know what? That ain't right. And Mr. Brown was like, you know what? That ain't right. So now, there is a theory that out way past Pluto, furthest possible planet ever, or actually it becomes planet number 9, also nicknamed Planet 9. There's the possibility of a new planet out there that its orbit can take up to 10 to 20,000 years. That's amazing because it was not through telescopes that we found this planet. It was through math and calculation. That's amazing. We don't even know it's there, but we have a feeling. And now that we have a feeling and we have this general location, because all these scale models and, rocket scientists and scientists saying, that ain't right, we're on the search for it, which is awesome. Because there's no telling what could be on this planet. They can actually be extraterrestrials.
So before we get into the whole extraterrestrial discussion, because I really do want to go there with this.
Okay.
The Planet 9 situation was initially, talked about, and people named it other things, right?
Oh, yes, they called it Planet X, right? This so-called Planet X. And what was the other name?
Nibiru.
The Destroyer.
Oh, and there's one
Nibiru
more
X.
name. There's one more name, actually. Uh,
What?
there were other people, well, people now, referring to this as Planet X, Nibiru, or Planet 9, also called it Wormwood.
Wormwood.
Right.
That makes even more sense to me.
Well, Wormwood is the so-called star that's being referred to in the Bible.
Mm, okay.
And so apparently it's a great star that falls from heaven and it falls to the earth, and we have all this stuff happening.
So basically, religious people took this as an opportunity to do a Bible reference. Say, hey, we're going to call it Wormwood. Ha! Top that. Not with it. Get over it. Look, it's either Planet 9 or Planet Nibiru or Planet X. Let it go. I'm really getting tired of religion wanting to throw in and mix in with science. Just jump in there. Get out. You're messing everything up. Let the truth be known. So the crazy thing is that the term Planet X and the term, Nibiru was coined in 1995. And do you know by who?
A crazy person.
Actually, I feel that way, right? Now, this lady, she has a website. And are you going to post a link to the website just for giggles for everybody?
Sure, it'll
So,
be on there.
okay. This lady claims that she is in communication with extraterrestrial beings. And they
Well,
told
not just any extraterrestrials. She's actually in contact with the Greys.
right. But the form of communication is apparently telepathy, because they speak to her in her head, that planet Nibiru is going to come through and mix it all up and mess everything up for everybody. It's pretty much going to be the apocalypse of Earth. Done.
Well, I did some research on the reason why she came up with the name Nibiru. So it turns out that Nibiru actually comes from back in the Mesopotamian days.
Say that
And
3 times.
yeah, so in the Mesopotamian days, which we're talking about, 5,000 to 3,500 BC, before Christ.
Okay.
So there was a Russian author, and his name was Stitchins, Zacharias Stitchins, and what he did was he kind of worked out a way to translate the Mesopotamian symbolism in what they wrote. And according to them, there was a planet Nibiru which had gods on it, and so the
Okay.
gods actually did some genetic alterations on humans
Okay.
when we were apes.
Oh. Could this be around the same time, that the Catholic Church decided that there were giants because there were angels sleeping with humans?
Oh, you're talking about the Nephilim.
Hmm.
Well, the Nephilim are tied into the story in some way.
You see? Ah! Inkling. Got it.
So the Nephilim, or the gods, or in Sumerian myth, is called the Anunnaki.
That sounds so cool.
So
Hey.
apparently these guys decided to come down to Earth, do their genetic experiments and so forth. And here we are today.
It's
So,
funny. All of these little religions or these different types of religions all have a somewhat similar story. Look at Scientology. Mm-hmm. They're weird, but it's kind of similar.
yeah, they're similar because they're all trying to explain, the stuff we just don't know about.
Right.
So, make a long story short, apparently your lady friend from the Alien Talk picked up on
Okay.
the Nibiru name.
Right. From the grave.
So, yeah, so Nancy Leiter is her name, and her website is Zeta Talk.
Yes.
And I actually went to the website, and it's still there.
Hmm. It's like another conspiracy. You remember way back when? Y2K. Everybody was going crazy about Y2K. Y2K this, end of the world. Y2K this. It's like a trending thing. It's a trend. It's trendy to be worried. So then it went from Y2K. Of course, the next day everything was fine. Everybody lived out their lives. Oh my God. Everybody who quit their jobs, the year before 2000 had to beg for their jobs back.
Well, what's funny is I really thought that this Nancy's website was probably going to be outdated and there's nothing current on it, but there is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she actually has photos from 2015 where she's trying to identify for people in the sky images that might give an inkling of to where Nibiru is.
Really? All right, Mr. Brown. It sounds like somebody already knows where Nibiru is, or Planet 9, or X, or Wormwood. They just need to pick one name. Just let it go. Peace. But, like I was
So,
saying,
yeah. So now the reports from the astrologer that actually found the mathematical evidence. Now he's saying that the orbit is how long?
approximately 10 to 20,000 years.
So now, according to Nancy and Mesopotamians, their orbit should only be 3,600 years.
Yeah, yeah, but it's still, first of all, she's getting guided, so she's getting help. Okay, she's been touched. Second thing is it's still calculations when it comes to the actual scientists trying to figure out. They have a theory of how long it takes, but in reality, do they know? No, it's just a mathematical theory. It could be 3,500 years instead of 10,000 years.
Well, see,
We just don't.
from what I saw, they actually ran a computer simulation. So, which means I would think that they should be able to run that simulation backwards and forwards and get a good idea of where this particular planet would be.
No. So everybody who has a telescope that's better than the Walmart brand, look up. We might find something.
And apparently it's pretty far, so it's not like you're gonna, be able to see it in a night sky anytime soon.
Okay, all the scientists who have the big fancy, telescopes, look up. See, that's all you had to say.
So Planet X, so the reason why they're not calling it Planet X is because we're down to 8 planets.
Eight
Where,
planets. That's right.
yeah, so Planet X would have been Roman numeral 10,
Correct.
right? So unfortunately, we're not We're just gonna have to settle for Planet 9 unless Pluto gets a bump again.
Well, if Pluto gets a bump again, it will be the official X planet, which would be pretty cool. I mean, the theory of it being, or having some type of life is still strong. I still think, there's possible life on, other things like the moons that surrounding Jupiter or Saturn or something. Yeah, there could be something in Saturn's rings that we don't know yet. Don't know. We need to
Yeah,
find out.
I'm sure there's plenty in our solar system we don't know.
Yeah, I'm about to dork out. I think there's a second Earth or counter Earth. Oh, ever
Well,
heard of that before?
yeah, so that was one of the conspiracy theories when it came to
Hmm.
Nibiru, that Nibiru was actually on the
Counter Earth,
opposite side of our orbit.
180 degree. Oh no, 360 technically. No, 180. So that is a cool theory because we don't know, and there have been signs of satellites, having light glimpses of a shiny figure that's really big on the other side of the sun, but it wasn't really looked at. It's just something shining from the sun or space debris, UFO.
It kind of makes you wonder, why don't we just, take a satellite, put a lot of current technology in it, and just leave it there. We'll come back to it
Right.
in a year and see what flew by.
Well, considering that the orbit is not just a linear orbit, it's a helical orbit, I would think that it would be kind of hard to do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would think it probably would have been hard 30 years ago, but not anymore. I mean, because number one, it's getting its power from the sun. Number two, the way that our computers work now, it should be able to track its spatial uh, position, relative to the sun and the stars. So it should be able
And
to
it will
keep
keep at a
itself in the same
distance.
place. So I guess we'll see.
And what the hell happened?
I don't know. I was just talking away, and you're not there.
What?
So
All right,
anyway,
Rory.
I guess with today, I guess with today's technology, it'll be able to keep itself in the same spot using the stars, the sun, and things like that for navigation.
Well, apparently the satellites keeping my phone can't do that shit. How the hell can,
Right.
you know,
So for everyone listening right now, Big O was disconnected,
oh my God,
and it might have
can't
been the
stand it.
CIA, FBI, or the Anunnaki, Nephilim, someone, one of them.
You know what? It's your fault. You started it with the Clinton thing. The whole UFO Clinton thing, my phone's been acting up ever since. Horrible.
You gotta watch out.
Whatever. Anyway, but very good informative show, and I appreciated, the information. This was great news. I mean, I think it's something to look forward to. Between the star having a possible structure to a new planet, the possible discovery of a new planet, there has not been a new discovery of a new planet in over 60, or about 50 years, 50, 60 years. That's amazing.
Well, hopefully it comes through. Now they're saying that the chances that it's there went from 30 to 40% to 75%.
That's awesome.
So we'll see. So now, the topic of aliens. Could there be aliens on Planet 9?
Okay. So theoretically, the type of alien life forms varies from person to person. Okay. If you're thinking humanoid or, big animal, I'm saying no. Intelligent life, I don't think so. For the reason being, our orbit is in such a unique spot that it is possible for life to flourish. Now, it being so far out there, is it getting enough energy from the sun? I mean, unless they're, extremely smart, and they terraform that planet, and we don't know about, and they're able to sustain heat or warmth or whatever the case may be, they're able to sustain life, then maybe, possibly, hypothetically. But from my understanding of how I would think an extraterrestrial is, my little mind, no.
Well, here's my thing. If you look at a lot of these aliens, and the one that's the most popular is the gray alien, the little grays,
Yeah.
um, they're like ghost white with humongous eyeballs. To me, that anatomy speaks of very little sun, and they need the big eyeballs to see because it's kind of dark.
Okay. You think adaptation, that's why they look that way?
I think
But
so.
if you really think about it, right, let's flip that. All right. If you want to think about adaptation, right, this planet Planet 9 is supposed to be 6 times bigger than Earth. That means the mass of this planet and the gravitational pull of this planet is 6 times greater than Earth. If you put a normal human being to go through that on an everyday basis, they will develop problems. They have to be adapted. So the skinny little scrawny little aliens with big heads that you're describing, I don't think we'll be able to survive in a giant planet like that.
Well, just because it's giant, it doesn't really mean that it has that core to create that type of gravity.
That's what she said.
Exactly. Big O. So what I'm saying is, there's eight. Listen, these guys are showing up somehow, somewhere. Now, I can say this much. I think that people who say that there's no advanced civilizations out there are crazy. And the same token, I think that people who say that every single sighting it's an alien are crazy also.
Right.
So you got to take a middle road.
Be rational.
Yeah, be rational about it.
I definitely believe that there's, extraterrestrial activity, and I'm more towards, we're not going to see the actual extraterrestrial. We're going to see robots or intelligent AIs that we're going to meet first before being actually introduced in our lifetime or in a couple of lifetimes of an actual extraterrestrial being.
Well,
right?
Well, maybe these UFOs are the AI.
That would be highly plausible for me. I would take that more than seeing an actual humanoid extraterrestrial all day. They'll be like Borg. We'll have to assimilate.
Well, I mean, they have to be coming here for a reason, right? So even if, let's say, 5% of the UFOs that we see are actual, extraterrestrials, then why would they be here?
I mean, if you really think about it, water is a great fuel. Water has hydrogen, which can be used as a fuel. I mean, there's plenty of things on this planet that we don't know can be used as a resource yet, really.
Well, why wouldn't they stop on Mars? We know there's water there.
It's so much harder to get water from Mars than it is from Earth. Think about it.
They don't have the same
Earth
flavors.
is like that too, Not to mention, it's easier to be accessible. Easier, way easier. I mean, the H2O is probably the perfect, level of HNO too. But still, it will be easier for it to just go down, collect the energy, and leave than to try to dig into solid ground and find water, or trying to find water that's frozen. I mean, there's still plenty of areas on Earth that, we don't even see huge radar, blocks. That's how that one plane got lost. There's no telling what happens.
Yeah, somehow I think it's a little bit more sinister.
You see, there you go, making it bad again. How are you gonna?
No, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. If I had ships, if I had either interstellar or interdimensional travel, and I could just show up whenever I wanted, and I had, like, again, all these apes running around, I'm gonna do what I want with who I want.
See, that is also why I feel that we should always be prepared for no matter what. I ain't saying I'm gonna take these famous words from Cat Williams. I ain't saying nobody could be trusted. I'm saying I ain't trusting nobody.
And you probably shouldn't. And to be honest, if the Greys wanted to give you an anal probe, what could you do about it?
You're gonna roll right through that subject. Not talking about probing.
I'm waiting. Just let it go. Just let it go.
That's what they said. I don't want them to say that to me. No anal probing. I mean, come on, let that go.
I'm just telling you. There's something to it, and everyone can't be nuts. We can't all be just imagining things, especially the people who say they're being abducted and experimented on.
I mean, we're probably like their version of lab rats, and they're probably for people who got these great ideas, like the TV. I think the TV is one of the biggest setbacks of mankind. I really do. How many people who will watch TV for hours and hours at a time and not advance because they're watching TV? I am one of them. I could have been smart had I not had a TV.
So officially, what do you think? Is there a Planet 9 or not?
I think so. I think they're too close to knowing that it is there for it to be just a hypothetical thing. I really think that we're gonna, and within the next 2 years, we will know exactly where it's at.
I think so too. I think for sure. I think before the end of this year, they'll let us know that they have a pretty good idea of its location.
Yeah, all day.
So I guess we can play this. What's your stance on the game? So, is there an alien base on Mars?
No, I don't think there was ever any real true signs of alien station at Mars.
Okay. Is there an alien base on the dark side of the moon?
No, I don't think so.
So, those are going to be two great topics for future shows because,
Yeah,
according to many astronauts employed by NASA, there is stuff on the moon.
which I think that should be our next topic, is to try to attack that and bring more details to that.
Oh, no, sir. Our next topic is going to be even weirder.
Oh, what's the next topic?
The next topic is the strange sounds that people are reporting all over the world.
Really? What
Yes.
strange sound? I mean, let's not give it away to everybody so that way they can stay tuned to next episode, next topic. But is it like a whisper?
It's not a whisper. I mean, some people are reporting that their doors and windows shake. They actually have recordings of some of these sounds, and apparently it's not tied to airplanes, construction, or anything like that.
That's going to be interesting. All right.
Yeah, we are going to have some of those clips on here, along with some videos of people actually reporting the sounds, even through local media.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and it's really strange, and it just goes to show you, we really don't know everything. Well, I think that's going to be the end of our show for today, Big O.
Hey, another one bites the dust.
Another one bites the dust. Any last words before we say goodbye?
I'm not going to be like Jerry Springer and break it up in the final thought. I'm going to just let this one go
Wouldn't it be great if we could have some live fights on our podcast?
and have them screaming, Buster, Buster, Buster. That would be awesome.
So, as Big O was saying, if you want to share some of your experiences with us, please call 972-290-1329 and leave us your UFO sightings or your ghostly experience. We really want to share that with other listeners and maybe even get you on the podcast to share it live.
Yeah, our whole purpose is to find the truth and spread truth. And if we feel what you have is compelling evidence, then let us know, and we'll share it as best.
So star KIC 8462852. So apparently in October,
Mhm.
there was a story that came out in the news and on the internet that there might be a gigantic artificial structure drifting in front of the star, blocking some of its light. Well, the theory is that if an alien civilization became so advanced and needed so much power to, I guess, fuel and power their own civilization, that they would be able to build an alien structure either around or partially cover a star in order to harness its power.
That's pretty far-fetched. I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie.
That's
That's kinda-
interesting, huh?
That's some Star Trek, Star Wars stuff.
So, of course, in a matter of a few days or a week later, someone put out a report saying, hey, that's not true. All it is an asteroid belt that's showing that that's blocking the light from the star, and so therefore it's nothing. It happens all the time.
Obviously.
However, this has been happening since 2011 when the Kepler Space Telescope first saw this happening. And so according to, our science folks, they're saying usually a light emanating from a star will drop about around 1% to like 5%.
Mhm.
But this particular star, it dropped as far down as 15%.
Oh.
And at one time even 20%.
Ooh.
So the idea is that something pretty humongous, pretty big, is blocking the star from time to time.
Or draining it,
Or draining it.
If you haven't saw, if you what? Have you not seen Star Wars? It drains the power. That's like the next level Death Star stuff. I'm telling you, it's
Yeah.
draining the power of that star. And like, yeah, that's some crazy stuff.
So, of course, people decided, well, asteroids, that's good. So, unfortunately, for those naysayers that there could be something else, some people still are looking at the star, and they've noticed that it still continues to dim in a fashion that's not normal. We're still going to
You know,
continue looking at it.
the naysayers, are they part of the government? That's another government conspiracy. I'm telling you right now, it's like every time something comes up, and it's like, there's possible aliens, right, on the dark side of the moon, on Mars, on the star. No, not really. Don't worry about that. Look. We have global warming. Worry about that.
Well, and that's the thing, they're always quick to say it's not an extraterrestrial, it's not another civilization. But to be honest, I mean, we're talking about a star that's how many hundreds of light years away? How can we say it's not?
But then again, how can we say it is? It's one of those situations where everything you say, you have to be held accountable, especially in the science community. If you say something stupid, you're forever going to be known as that person who says something stupid. And I kind of understand, but instead of saying no, just look and then probable and keep it stepping.
Well, and you know what? That's exactly what's going to happen when we discuss your topic in the ozone. Because for decades, the science community has been saying there's no way there could be anything else out there. And all of a
Oh,
sudden, they've changed their story,
as always.
as always. So, taking that into consideration, yeah, I think it's possible that there could be something out there that's not just naturally occurring.
Yeah, yeah.
So,